You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. We're doing a crash course on how to kill Rey with Starkiller, and it's gonna be a good time, I'm sure. It will be, folks. I want to say thanks to all of my patrons. You guys are amazing, and I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your support. Truly, I couldn't do it without you. You are truly appreciated. For those of you who want to support the channel for free, all I've got to say is, please remember to help me mount the algorithm by liking, subscribing, commenting. Mounting the algorithm is fun for all ages, I think. Ask your doctor if mounting is right for you. Let's go, guys. Let's talk about this specific matchup. This is a pretty good one, pretty interesting one. There's a vast array of teams that we're trying to beat. Please don't pardon the pun; it was intentional. And let's talk about it, guys. So, how do we beat Rey with Starkiller? This is something that helps in GAC quite a bit. I mean, obviously, not going to work in Territory Wars because it's a totally different comp, and I mean, it might work in Territory Wars. I just haven't tried it or done. I mean, it's just very different. But the team that you want to be looking at here, folks, is Emperor Palpatine lead with Mara Jade, and then Starkiller, Old Ben, and Visas Mar. You can swap out Old Ben for Mace sometimes, at least. You guys will see that a little bit. And sometimes, so this is something I wouldn't really recommend, but this is what I do on my alt, and you guys are going to see it in the videos, and so it's worth me mentioning right now. I use Ben on my alternate account, which is significantly weaker, and I want to show you guys how to use my weaker account to still be able to destroy people with it. But I use Ben as the light side unaligned force user because he he's higher gear than, like, he's higher relic than my Visas Mar. The light side unaligned force user almost never really comes into play. Sometimes it's nice, though, to have an armor shred from Ben or a revive from Visas. I mean, it usually doesn't come into play for this particular matchup, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. In terms of which Zetas or Omicrons you should get, honestly, when I was looking at it, I was surprised at how few Zetas I really cared about here. I think all of them are one, like, if you use this team as much as I do, I think you're going to be happy to have all of them, frankly. Unless it's Visas. Like, Zeta is just so dumb, so worthless. Very bad. All of them are decent, though. Starkiller has one on his basic, apparently. I didn't remember that, but the Palpatine ones are pretty good. I just listed the ones that I think you just really don't want to do without. And then the ones for Omicrons, the Starkiller unique, that one's the one that we've always said is, like, maybe the most impactful and important in the game, at least in terms of GAC. I would also argue, though, folks, that almost immediately behind it, it's not more important than the unique, but almost as important, at least for what we're trying to do, is the Starkiller AoE, because it's an AoE that dispels everything on all the characters. Otherwise, it's just on the targeted character. It's a very important distinction to make. And then I would say that there's a little gap of importance, and then doing his third Omicron, the entire tire, is probably the next most important. Please note that I'm not saying that Mara Jade or Mace have poor Omicrons. They just aren't relevant here because those are Territory Wars as opposed to what we're looking at as GAC in this counter. Now, as far as Palpatine goes, you'll note that he just wants protection, guys. I don't have great modding on him. Actually, this is for my main account, and I don't have wonderful modding. That's all just kind of all over the place. You want some potency, for sure. Mostly he's just a facilitator to get everything to work. You do want more potency, I think, than not, but then you really want protection because of his second Zeta, which doubles at 50%, adds on, I can't talk, but it adds 50% to his max protection, which is very important. You don't want to get killed, he's going to be the prime target of Rey's whirlwinds, and we need to be able to eat a couple of those if possible. And so even though I know a lot of people like to put the, like speed on their arrows, I mean, look at how slow mine is. You'll see how speed almost isn't a factor for him. Potency is a little bit of a factor, though. He is giving himself a certain amount of potency, and Mara Jade does have tenacity down. You still do want some potency to start with, and then keep in mind that, I mean, these are some abilities just to keep in mind and everything. My Palpatine isn't anything impressive. He's Relic 7. You can see on the top left corner what relic levels these are, and just for your reference what my stats are. So I only have a Relic 5 Mara Jade. Despite the fact that I have over 11 million GP on my account, I've only ever needed a Relic 5. She is not here for damage. She is here as the engine for the team. Her and Palpatine are facilitators for Starkiller to kill everyone, essentially. Even though maybe they'll be the ones to get the kills, mostly it's going to be Starkiller. You need to make sure everything works. Now, first off, I know you don't... 370 speed is probably unapproachable to a lot of people. Just keep in mind, you want her to be smoking fast. 370 is probably a lot, even for Kyber 1, to be honest, but my recommendation from day one has always been 365, because if you put this team on defense, not that you're going to necessarily, and this isn't about putting this team on defense, but if you do, then you want to outspeed all different bounty hunter comps out there with Zam, Omicron, and everything, and 365 is kind of the sweet spot. You're never going to be outsped. Not to mention you'll outspeed your opponent's Mara Jade, which if you have her modded the way I have suggested here, you're going to destroy Starkiller in the mirror, which is also not what this video is about, but that's why we're doing the speed that she has. You also want her to have either high protection or high health. I chose protection. It doesn't really matter that much. The biggest thing, guys, is you want a lot of potency. And then the two most important abilities for her, I mean, all of her stuff is pretty important, but first one is that Palpatine gives, or if Palp is the lead, which he is, then he's going to give her an extra 20% potency, which is nice. And then also from his lead, he gives her another 35% potency, so another 55. So I have potency. I have a potency cross and one potency set. Remember, speed is probably more important, but you do want to fit as much potency in as you can. And then health and protection are also very nice to have for her. But if you can't land those initial debuffs, even though you're going to have some tenacity down, you're going to really be relying on your potency sometimes, especially on your initial throw, as you guys will see. Now, Starkiller, I'm going to show you guys my Relic 8 version on my main account, and then I'll show you my Relic 5 version, just so that you can see what the contrast is, because some of the videos I'm going to show you, there's not that much fall off between all my other characters, but Starkiller has significantly different stats, because Relic 8 to Relic 5 is very, very different. Now, he wants a lot of offense. He's very, very stat hungry. You're going to want to give him offense as much as you can, as much speed as you can, and then keep in mind, folks, there's two ways to build Starkiller. I don't love that people do this. I think that this is, it's kind of tricky. Like, so you can build your Starkiller to have a ton of health, so then when he gets his ultimate, it does a crazy amount of damage based off of his max health. However, I don't subscribe to that way of doing things. I think you should get a lot of health if you can, and then you should just do a ton of offense, especially when you're countering a lot of these different Galactic Legends and stuff. Your ultimate, even if it's totally maxed out with health, you're not going to just one-shot Galactic Legends. You need to actually play and find some nuance to be able to beat these guys. So this is, you can get a crit damage triangle, but make sure you get an offense secondary as well, because a lot of the places we're going, we're not going to do crits, because we're not going to, like, they're going to have crit immunity and stuff like that. So very, very tough to please character in terms of stats, but very worthwhile. But I mean, do still chase some health. Like, the health circle is great, and then a health set is also pretty strong. Now, this is my Relic 5. You can see that it's, I think the biggest difference, folks, is the damage. It goes up about 3,000 from Relic 5 to Relic 8, which is crazy. It's like 1,000 per relic level. Hard to believe, but that's really what it is. I mean, the modding is probably different because my main account can afford a few better mods and stuff too, but The only other one I'm going to talk about today, guys, is Old Ben. And just to point out, you don't need crazy mods. I have him fast because I don't want him to get lapped too much. I also want to keep him in reserve to be able to use with a Jedi Revan team if I ever need it. And being in the 270 range is about where you want. You probably don't need him quite that fast, but it is important for him to be a little bit fast. You do want him to have potency as well, though, because you want him to be able to do his AoE ability block on everyone. It's a very important one to have if you can do it. So lots of potency, and otherwise you're good to go. Now, here's the checklist, folks. In terms of when you're fighting Rey, you want to get rid of Inspired. You can see the little buff on her, or the little effect on her, you'll see in just a minute. Once you get that Inspired gone, you want it gone because she stacks her mastery, which is essentially all the damage that can be done. It will just ruin you if you continue to allow that little Inspired tag to continue. So you want to get rid of Inspired, and then immediately you want to get Rey to damage immunity, Ben to damage immunity, keep shock on everyone if you can, and then get everyone else into damage immunity. Remember, if you can get shock on Rey, she's gonna stick on her, hopefully, and then when she does any damage at all, it will be cut in half by Starkiller's unique ability. Now, when it comes to killing Rey with Ben on the team, which is a pretty standard comp at this point, Ben is remember, just remember, he can't be killed unless Rey is at 50% health or less. You guys can read this on your own. I'm not going to spell it out for you. Let's actually get into the fighting, shall we? This is a tough thing, though. Remember, this is something you need to read on your own. Pause it if you need to, folks. It's very important. Now, let's start. I think we've got 4.5 videos that we're going to watch here, folks. Hold on a sec. All right, so the first one is going to just be on my alternate account, and I think the first two are actually. And so we have Ben here, and that's just because we don't have Visas Mar leveled up or anything. Relic 5 on the Starkiller. Relic 5 on everyone, in fact. So, okay, so you see that little blue effect on her. That's called Inspired. You need to get rid of that. You get rid of it by critting her. Now, the first thing, this is the reason you need to have high potency, guys, is a lot of people will do the first special on Mara Jade, and that gives everyone, it's an AoE tenacity down. It sounds wonderful. However, what you really want to do is stop their team from getting a turn right away. Rey will take a turn right away, but everyone else can be stopped by throwing an AoE stagger by Rey, or by Mara. So you want to throw that first AoE as a stagger, because you can see now you can cut everyone's turn off. You don't want them to get turns. That is a very important aspect of this. Also, everyone is shocked. That means they can't gain bonus turn meter. So you're going to immediately. So you still, Rey is still at 3 Inspired because she also handed out that buff immunity that crit immunity buff. So Mara Jade is going to go again under Palpatine lead. She gets another turn. She's able to use that second one to dispel that just on Rey, but now we can crit Rey. So you want to get rid of the crit immunity buff on her so that we can crit her, and now we can chain attacks with Rey, or with Mara, and remember, when Mara takes a basic, Palp takes a basic, then Starkiller takes a basic. And so we want to get Rey as quickly as we can, guys, because she's going to do her whirlwind as soon as she can. We want her to be able to, we want to get her into damage immunity as quickly as we can, and we don't want her to be in damage immunity while she has her Inspired on her. Okay, so we do the AoE the AoE from Starkiller. If you have the Omicron, that gets rid of the crit damage immunity. And now, okay, we put the armor shred on Rey. Really want to get her into damage immunity. Okay, there we go. Now we want to get Ben into damage immunity as quickly as we can as well, so that once he recovers, then they'll be available for death. Now let's get everyone else to that point. Remember, if we can, okay, so Rey took her turn. She was ability blocked. So we want to get rid of her Inspired as quick as we can. Okay, she's going to do her ult next, so we'll keep that in mind. But now, everyone else, though, we can stagger. And in fact, we can stagger works on her if she doesn't have Inspired. So there we go. We knocked her turn meter back. And we need to get her into yellow. There we go. So she's in yellow. Ben's actually, he took a turn. He's available for death. We can we can take out some of this team at the very least. Remember that everyone is under a 2-turn stun right now with Palpatine because everyone was shocked. If they're shocked, he stuns them for 2 turns. You want to get shock back on them. But you can see here, Rey isn't even necessarily going to take a turn. Okay, so Ben is gone. Now let's take out Rey. Now Ben comes back, of course, because that's his thing, but Rey isn't going to come back. So now we're just waiting for people to get out of damage immunity so we can take them out. And, I mean, taking out Rey before the ult is very, very possible if it's a comp like this where everyone can be stunned. If there's Jedi Training Rey here, which is the next added difficulty, then it adds a wrinkle, and usually you have to eat one of the ultimates at least. So anyways, folks, you guys know how to do this. I'm not gonna belabor the point. Let's move on to the next scenario, shall we? Alright, so you can see this is my ult one more time. This is against the Jedi Training Rey team. This is Relic 9 Rey. We only have Relic 5s on any of the characters, so it's kind of a mess. And, you know, they have a good Datacron. They have all this stuff. We have an okay Datacron, remember. We're just doing... I think the Datacron we have is just, like, extra damage a little bit, which is basically what you want for a comp like this. And, yeah, but it's a little bit sketch because they have a lot of relics. They have way more... Every character that I have is out-reliced by at least 2 here. So, okay, Rey does her Lifeblood, and then we want to get shock on everyone. Remember, that's not going to land on Jedi Training Rey because she shakes all of her debuffs off. Now, we want Rey to get her damage immunity as quickly as we can. Get that buff, or get that ability block on her, get everything dispelled if we can, so that we can actually crit everyone else. And now we want to get shock on everyone that we can here, because shock is helpful in a lot of ways. Okay, so remember, the people who were shocked and got stunned, they're going to be stunned for 2 turns. Now, let's get Ben into damage immunity as well. Wonderful. And now, everyone else is in damage immunity. We're waiting for people to come out of it. Rey's in damage immunity. We can't do anything. She'll pop her ult whenever she takes a turn here now. Okay, so here she goes. We get rid of... We can still crit her while she's in her ult. We can't kill her, really, but we can crit her. Now, I did another AoE, trying to stun everyone for 2 turns again, because we just don't want people to take turns. That's what we want to avoid here, folks. Get rid of all of the Inspired to make sure she's not buffing everyone's mastery. And then, okay, she does her AoE. Doesn't do that much damage. Remember, when she's debuffed, she only does half her normal damage. And now... we can get stagger on her potentially to work. And all right, trying to figure out what we can do. Can we just take out their Jedi Training Rey with our ultimate? That would be kind of nice if we could. We can't kill Ben, you note, because he's got damage immunity. But if we can take out Jedi Training Rey, it's probably worth our while, because she starts getting really tough to kill after a while. And look at that, Ben just conveniently took a turn, and now we can just shoot them. Fish in a barrel. This is going to be max banners once again. You can see we just shoot these guys. They were stunned. They came out of damage immunity, and there it is. Max banners once again. All right, let's move on to the next one, folks. This one is on my main account. This is against Kestis, and he dodges a lot right at the start. It was feeling pretty grim. This is kind of a way to accentuate, though, folks. This is how this is very, very, very complex counter here, guys. So if we had gotten stagger on Kestis, that would have been great. That would have been wonderful. You don't want him to get to those 30 stacks and take a turn, because it debuffs your whole team all the way to hell. And you really need to be able to mess with Kestis here. However, he keeps dodging me in this instance, and it leads to some interesting interactions. You'll note that there's only 2 total resistance on this team right now. So, yeah, The other thing is that this Rey has a damage immunity cron. So once you do, or sorry, a crit immunity cron. So once you do one crit to her, she's able to, she gets 100% more crit avoid on her for 2 more turns. So it's she's difficult to get. What I decided was what we really need to get going is, okay, ability block is wonderful. Let's get rid of all of these lovely buffs on everyone. And now we really need to get Rey into damage immunity. Okay, so damage immunity on her was achieved, but not on Ben. And now we're missing against Cal every single time here. And look at this. We could potentially take, let's see, this is me messing around. I shouldn't be doing this. You can see we have inspired on Rey. Every time we gain turn meter, which is on a lot of characters here, we're giving them a bunch of turn meter. We're giving them a bunch of mastery, rather, which is going to make them all very, very difficult to kill. So let's get hit. I guess we want Cal in damage immunity here. We want to get, do we want to get our ults? What do we want to do? We could just do our basic, and that's an AoE with him. Now, the big question here was, what do I do? You can't really see very well, but Jedi training Rey. So Ben is not available for death. Rey herself is over 50% health, so we can't kill him. We can't kill anyone really. Maybe armor, but the big thing is Jedi training Rey. If we could take her out, like she's kind of just boosting herself so much that if we could take her out in one shot with the ult, then it's going to be a lot easier. So what I decided we'd just eat whatever ult Rey has for us and just deal with it. We're not going to get great banners in that case, but if we can just take out Jedi training Rey, which we did manage to do, then hopefully, like we could actually, in theory, okay, so we killed Ben, but then he came back and Rey popped her ult. Now we want to take out her stacks of inspired and then keep going. Okay, so let's go, Rey. Come on. Take a freaking turn. Wanted to 2-turn stun Ben if possible. Remember, he does a crazy amount of damage too if you leave him uncontrolled. So just keep putting shock on everyone. Remember when you do the stun from Emperor Palpatine. Okay, so check this out, guys. When you do the stun from Emperor Palpatine, it gets rid of shock. The other thing, though, guys, is look at all these buffs on Cal, on a couple of them. We're doing the AoE from Starkiller, and as you can see, it just wipes out the whole team. So left with decent banners there. Okay, we have one final one and then a half one. And gosh, this video is going longer than I wanted, but I think all these examples are probably pretty important for you. So, all right, so this is a sortie squad with sortie handing out spare parts to all the droids every time sortie takes a turn. This is from a Datacron. There's Barriss here as well, so she can cleanse people. However, you can stop Barriss by getting shock on her. She won't get bonus turn meter because shock stops bonus turn meter. We just want to ignore L3 as much as possible and just take out Rey and then Barriss and then maybe sortie. Like we're just going to kind of work backwards, but focusing on Rey is going to be good. The thing is, we couldn't dispel Rey initially because we had to dispel the pre-taunt from sortie. So we need a turn. I took Mace here though, and Mace was able to dispel the crit immunity, which is nice. All right, we're hitting L3. All right, she did her whirlwind there. Didn't do that much damage to us, which is nice. Thank you, Rey, for not doing that much damage. Got her into damage immunity, and now we can't select Ben because he is the VIP and he's in stealth. So yay for that. I guess we'll just hit who we can. We got Barriss into damage, or we got Barriss, into damage immunity. Now I guess we can get the rest of them into it. And it looks like L3 actually just didn't, we got so many turns stacked there that we were able to lap sortie, and she wasn't able to get, look at how sortie's just dodging everything. This is the same thing that Rey does a lot of times. She builds up so much mastery that, you know, the whole whole system goes down. Okay, so now we've got damage immunity on everyone. Let's just stun as many of them as we can because we want to control the situation. And I guess Sortie is available for death, but we can't hit her because her mastery's increased so much, and her evasion is on her mastery, which means she's just going to dodge and dodge and dodge, unless we have things that she can't avoid, which is basically just Starkiller's unique, or his specials. So, alright, we'll just do a basic here for now. Pretty sure we can weather the ult from Rey. Alright, cool. Now we can take out Ben. And then we have to take out Ben again. Remember, every time our leader goes, Ben respawns. Alright, we've got... Yeah, we missed her. Damn it all. Can we just take out Rey, please? Thank you. Okay, so Ben's still going to revive some. I guess we could do the ult. Can heal ourselves. Ben goes away for a minute. We can do the big hit with Starkiller. And that is that. Now... the final one, guys, the thing to keep in mind is sometimes Jedi training Rey persists for a long time, and it's a tricky thing. This is a video from a long time ago, from August of last year, but I think it's still relevant because we killed Rey. Ben is nowhere to be seen because he's not actually isn't around yet. But the thing is, Jedi training Rey has gained so much mastery over time that you need to be able to we're just missing on everything. And so this is the argument, folks, for Starkiller using his or having all 3 Omicrons, because Jedi training Rey will auto dispel all the debuffs on her that she can. You can see she has those 2 debuffs. If we hit her again with another debuff, she'll just dispel them all. It's 40% chance every time, but she can't dispel those locked debuffs. And that's what it is if you apply the Omicron. And so if you can't do that, you can see you can just throw the entire tire at her the whole time. If you don't, you get that Omicron. It auto hits her still. It's not a locked debuff, so she can heal from it. The other thing is you can use your AoE and be able to kill her that way as well. You can alternate between those two. Anyways, folks, this video went way longer than I wanted it to. I hope this helps you guys on your way. This is it's a very tricky team to be able to beat, but I think that, if you can get the off meta down to kill Rey, a lot of other counters are going to open themselves up for you guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.